everyone, welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Carly. I am a knitter and yarn dyer coming to you from Alberta, Canada. Typically on this channel, I will do a traditional style knitting podcast where I talk about all the things that I'm currently working on and have recently finished. Sometimes I do throw in other things like sewing projects and what I have been naturally dyeing. Now today we have a little bit of a different style video. It will be a pattern roundup. If you're new here, I recently finished knitting a skirt and I have just been loving looking at all the different skirt designs on Ravelry. I've been saving these skirt patterns for quite some time now and saving them into a bundle, which is linked down below so you can check them all out. I want to highlight a few of my favorite in that bundle today, and we can just talk about the construction, what I like about them, and maybe how I would style them, and maybe it will inspire you to knit a skirt as well. So the skirt that I recently finished was the Lana Lacy skirt by Yumiko from Nemi the label. I knit this in Drops Paris in the color 30, and I just quickly fell in love with this skirt. I had such a it was a really enjoyable process. I loved every step of it. It was a good mixture of it being mindless and just stocking it in the round. And then when I got a little bored of that, it quickly changed to different lace panel sections, and you didn't have to work on one lace section for too long. It switched up the design. So it was just really engaging and relaxing all at the same time, and I loved every minute of it. This project also was fairly quick to knit. It took me a few weeks, and I think that's mainly because it was worsted weight yarn and also knitting in the round. You don't have to worry about splitting for sleeves and working on the body, then working back to the sleeves, any necklines. It's pretty straightforward. So I really enjoyed the process of knitting a skirt. I definitely want to have more knitted skirts in my wardrobe. So yeah, I just thought this would be a good opportunity to sit down and look through some skirt patterns together. So like I said, I made a bundle on Ravelry. It is linked down below. I am going to pick a few of my favorite out of that bundle. I won't be talking about everything that's in that bundle today. So if you're curious and you want to see more, definitely go check that out. There's probably around 30 or so skirts on here. And of course, if you have any favorite skirt patterns that are on this bundle, comment down below and I will add them to this bundle as well. We can kind of use this as a resource for everybody for some skirt pattern inspiration. Also, I hope the quality of this video is okay today. I typically rely on this one good camera I have, but it has since stopped working for filming, which has been really annoying. And then my solution to that was using my partner's phone and his camera, which is a lot better than mine. It's more of an updated version of the iPhone and just better quality. And it really limited how often I could film, and that's why a lot of these podcasts have been coming out less than usual, and among other reasons. But I really wanted to film today, and I thought, let's try my phone, so I hope it's okay if it's poor quality. Sorry about that. This is all I have to use right now, and I'm just using what I have at the moment, and when I can, I'll use my boyfriend's phone for better quality. I should also mention what I'm wearing today before we dive right into the skirts. This is quite an older finished piece for me. This is what is this called? The Lily Top by Yumiko Alexander. I knit this in We Are Knitters cotton, I believe, like the cotton, I think it's called. And it was the colorway copper. I knit to size small, and it's a good project. I think it was fine. I have since re-knit this and I modified it to be smaller, and I did a sleeveless version. This version here, I did add the sleeves, as you can see. It's just that this isn't the drapiest yarn, so they kind of stick out. Sometimes I will do kind of like off the sleeve. I wear it a lot if I'm at a pool or a beach or the river. It's just kind of a nice thing to throw on over top of my bathing suit and a skirt. But I thought it was good for today. It's a really hot day. It's nice and airy, and I'm glad I'm getting a bit of wear out of it. I definitely want to make more of these tops though, because I figured out how to modify it with my other version, the sleeveless version, and I really love the fit of that. I would also like to modify it a little bit more on my next version to perhaps have sleeves again, but change them a little bit and to make them not stick out as much. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do that yet, but I really do love knitting this pattern. It's actually knit flat in pieces and you seam it and from the bottom up. Two things that I'm not a huge fan of, but for whatever reason with this project, I do really love the process of it. It's just why I don't love this top so much, I think mostly comes down to the drape and just the boxiness of it being a bit large, but overall the pattern, the design, the lace, I really love it. I also have my window open today. I need some air in here. It's a really hot day. I just need that little bit of a breeze. So you might hear the odd car going by or some birds, but birds aren't bad. That's a good sound. Okay, we can finally get into the skirt patterns now. Let's start with the Nemi skirt by Lana Skirt. This is a skirt that's been on my favorite list for a really long time now, probably a couple of years. It came out in November of 2022. It uses a sport weight yarn and the gauge is 23 stitches over 4 inches. It calls for a 3.5 millimeter needle. So this one is also mid-length. Of course, you can knit these skirts any length that you want. The designer, however, did do it to about mid-calf. That is a length that I really love to wear personally, and I think looks really good in this design. It's an all-over ribbed, like a vertical ribbed pattern. It looks like it could be like a 4x4 rib possibly, so a bigger rib, which is kind of nice. I prefer that. I can get into more of a rhythm knitting a rib like that. And especially since this is a full length skirt and ribbing, I think having like a wider rib is nice. This is also a top down pattern. So you start at the waistband and make your way down. And I'm pretty sure that this one has an elasticated waist in here. Let's see. Yes, it does call for an elasticated waistband, which is what I prefer. I don't love having the drawstring waistbands. Personally, I just don't like how it can dig into my stomach, and I like to have a thicker elastic, probably around like 1.5 to 2 inches wide, and I just find it covers more of your stomach and doesn't dig in as much. It's just a bit more comfortable. So that's my preferred method, and then you also don't have to knit an I-cord for the drawstring, so that's a bonus. And what I love about this is because it's a ribbed pattern all the way throughout, it really hugs your curves. And then also because it goes past your knees into like a narrower part of your legs, I feel like it just falls really nicely after that. And depending on the yarn you choose, if you're to choose something with a lot of drape, I think that would look really beautiful. The designer does use Durarem Natura, and it is 100% merino, but I think something like plant-based could be a really fun option for this. Also, I really like how the designer styled this. She has some pictures on here where she has some tights and some clogs on, and I could just really picture it being worn in winter and also summer. Summer obviously with no tights and some cute sandals, and in the wintertime you can pair it with some nice thick tights and some little booties or something, and then there you go, you have a really versatile piece. I really do see myself knitting this eventually because it's been on my favorite list for so long. I think this could be a great staple piece. I love wearing skirts, I prefer them to pants, and I also really love wearing skirts in the wintertime with some thick tights underneath. So this is something I'm really considering casting on in maybe the next year or so. Let's talk about the Forestberry skirt from Fable Knitwear. This one is a really beautiful, unique piece. It calls for fingering weight yarn and a 23 stitch gauge using 4mm needles. Now this one is actually knit bottom up, and even though it does have buttons on the front of the skirt, they are just sewn on and there aren't any buttonholes. So it's just like a faux buttonhole placket, if that's the right word for it. So the bonus to that is that you get to knit the entire skirt in the round. You don't have to knit it flat and you don't have to do buttonholes. It does include some pockets too on the side, which just looks so cute, and it's also designed to be worn with a belt. So it looks as though there are some knitted belt loops at the waist, which is just so cute and looks so good. I think what I love about this is also how she styled it with this airy, flowy, button-up white blouse. It just looks so good paired with this wool skirt, and it's just so whimsical looking and beautiful. I'm not a huge fan of knitting baubles. They're quite hard on my hands, but I feel like you could also replace the baubles with something else, but they do really make the skirt look really beautiful. So with this 23 stitch gauge and using a fingering weight yarn, it is designed to have a nice light airy effect, so something that you could possibly wear in the summertime, and of course depending on the type of yarn that you choose. But like the other one that I just showed, I think this one could be really versatile and be styled differently for each season, and I think would be a really nice piece in your wardrobe. I could definitely see myself wearing this with tights in the wintertime as well, and then on its own for the summer as well. Next up, we have the Venus Skirt by Sari Nordlund. This one was a recent release, April 2025, and I remember when it came out and I was just in awe of it. I thought it looked so beautiful. I think it's the combination of the design itself and this all over lace, like feather and fan texture, and then also the color of the yarn. It just really makes it stand out. The photography is so good as well. So this is knit in DK weight yarn, 20 stitches over 4 inches, and uses a 4mm needle. This is knit top down and it has an elasticated waist as well. The only thing with this pattern is that it's part of Sari's Summer Knits book, so you can't just buy the pattern. As of now, you can't buy the pattern on its own, and you would have to buy the book. This is something that I probably would buy the book for, and I'm not a big fan of knitting from a book. I don't like how the books, they never stay open, especially if the pattern's near the end or the beginning of the book. It just like the pages never stay open and they always fall down and I can't mark anything on it. It's just not my favorite experience knitting through a book or knitting from a book. But I think that this skirt is worth it, and maybe it'll be released on its own eventually. I'm not sure how that works with Sari's books. I would love if that were the case, but this is just so pretty, and it would be a lot of work. I mean, it's all over lace, but at least it's a really simple lace repeat that you could memorize no problem, and just by the time you get a couple of inches done, you can probably do it without looking no problem. It just looks so good in these pictures and on the model, and the yarn choice I think was absolutely perfect. It looks like they did Ritual Dyes Undine DK, which is 60% cotton and 40% linen flax. This one also has a matching top in the book, and it looks really cute paired together as well. That's something I would love to have eventually, is just a nice little matching set of a knitted skirt and a knitted top. Next is the All Good skirt from Magdalena Parker. I really wanted to highlight this one because it's more of a basic and something that you can play with the length with a lot, because there is a side slit. So this one uses fingering weight yarn and a 28 stitch gauge with using 3mm yarn. No, 3mm needles. So this one has a tighter gauge, it's fingering weight yarn. This would be a lot of work. But again, it's knitting in the round, and it is a top-down knit, and the waistband is also elasticated, and there are a bit of German short rows just to raise the back of the skirt a little bit, and some hip increases as well. So why I wanted to highlight this, like I said, is because of the slit. So with the skirt that I recently just finished, I did knit it a little bit longer than what the pattern said. So the problem with that is that I can't take the widest steps. I do have to shorten my steps a little bit. It's not so I can't wear it. It's definitely wearable and I can walk comfortably in it, but I do have to shorten my steps a little more than I normally would. So if you wanted to have a maxi length skirt and modify this skirt to be more floor length or ankle length, then you would have no problem with that, being that there is a slit down the side there. So the majority of this would be knit in the round until you get to the slit, then you have to knit flat back and forth. But having that slit there is a really good option. Also, with longer skirts, they can get quite toasty, and so that slit, just bringing in a little bit more airflow, I think is a really nice option too. So this is fingering weight, so you could probably choose an appropriate summer yarn and be good with this in the summertime. And you could also pair this with tights, no problem, I think, in the winter time as well. This is just a really nice like staple piece. It's a basic. I think it could go with so many different things in everybody's wardrobe. So that's why I wanted to include this one. Next, we have a really cute skirt. It is a shorter skirt, and this is the Manura Skirt by Nina Unterberg. And I thought I would include a little bit of longer skirts, mid-length skirts, and some shorter skirts as well, just to appeal to everybody. And this is knit with a worsted weight gauge, so 20 stitches, or worsted weight yarn, and the gauge is 20 stitches over 4 inches and calls for a 3.5mm yarn. This is knit from the top down. It has an elasticated waist, and on each side of the skirt there's a little like lace panel, lace slit. and I just think the flow and the drape looks so pretty. So I think it'd be really nice to try and find a yarn that has beautiful drape with this one, just so that it falls nicely and doesn't stick straight out on the sides. That little detail of the lace on the side slits just look so pretty and just such a nice little touch. And this one, it does say that it's knit seamlessly from the top down, first with the waistband, and then it has evenly distributed increases in 2 slits with lace patterns that are incorporated, and then a few German short rows that are knitted near the end, and then you bind off the skirt. This one would be a really quick knit, being that it is a shorter skirt, and of course if you wanted to modify this, you could definitely make it longer. There's only 3 projects for this one and only 2 pictures on the Ravelry projects, but they look really cute. I think there should be more projects for this one. It's a really cute, pretty design. Next we have another shorter skirt, and this is the Lana Mini Skirt by Knitters and Friends. This one I thought I had to add to be highlighted here on the video because I can really picture this knitted in a wintry, woolly, warm yarn and just paired with some thick tights and some boots, and it would look so cute in the winter time. And I can also picture it with a chunky, like creamy knit sweater over top of it. It would just be such a cute pairing, and you'd have an all over knit outfit, which would be amazing. So this one uses DK weight yarn. It calls for a pure Gint, which from what I've heard, I haven't used it, but from what I've heard is a lot of people say it's closer to a worsted weight yarn. And the gauge is 20 stitches using a 4.5mm needle. This one is worked from the top down as well, and it does look like there's an elastic waistband. And it's kind of an A-line shape, so it looks as though there are some increases on the side to create that shape. It also has pockets that are added to the skirt afterwards. So what's great about pockets that are added afterwards is that you could use them as a gauge swatch. So if you are a knitter that gauge swatches, then you could definitely just start with the pocket and see if your gauge matches. I never gauge swatch unless I'm doing a test knit, then I of course will always gauge swatch, but I just really like to cast on and hope for the best, and then if it doesn't work out, I'll rip back or I'll modify it along the way so it fits properly. I've never had to full-on rip back a project because of that. I may have a few times had to modify along the way with the increase rate just to make sure that it fits properly, but I've never had any major problems with my gauge, so that's why I never gauge swatch. But if you are a gauge swatcher, then pockets are great because then you can just work that into your project. There are also short rows involved in this project, and that is just to make the back slightly longer. It's nothing too noticeable from the pictures that I can see, but I'm assuming it's there maybe just so that to make room for your butt. I don't know. I really like the green color that the designer knit her sample in, and like I said earlier, could you picture this with a chunkier, creamy knit sweater over top? It would just look so pretty. The final skirt that we will talk about today is the Seashore Skirt by Veronica Lindberg, or Kudova Kika. I'm sure a lot of you have seen this already, but I thought I would include it today because not only does this design come in a skirt, but she also has a matching top, which I don't think has been released yet, but is coming soon. And just having the option of a matching knit top and skirt is very appealing to me, so I wanted to include it today. So this one does call for DK weight yarn. It's 2 fingerings held together is what Veronica did, and it's a 21 stitch gauge using 4mm needles. This one is, from what I can see, it doesn't say on the project page, but from what I can see from the testers, it looks as though that this is knit from the top down. However, it seems that you might have to pick up stitches afterwards to do the, the waistband. And I don't know how necessary that is. If I were to knit this, I think I would try to modify it just to go straight into the waistband and then continue on the skirt. Of course, I don't really know if I'd be able to do that until I buy the pattern, but that's something I would try to do just because it's so nice just to get it all done in the beginning and not have to pick up stitches afterwards. I really loved that process with my Lana Lacy skirt. I was able to get the fussy parts over with right away and then just straight into the knitting of the skirt, and I really love that type of pattern construction. So that's something I would try to work into if possible with this skirt. But this is really pretty. It's all over lace and it has different sections of lace as well. On Veronica's latest YouTube video, she also mentioned that she was going to try and knit a longer version of this skirt, which is something I would definitely want to knit. I really love knitting or wearing mid-length skirts, and I just think they look better on me, so that's what I would do. But this short version is very cute as well, and just the way she styled it with the rubber boots is so cute, and with that matching lace top that's coming later, it will just be such a beautiful combo. I would definitely want to find a yarn with a lot of drape for this one, just because of the nature of the design and construction. It looks as though there are some increases to make it look a little bit flowier, and she does use 2 strands of Knitting for Olive's pure silk, which just have a really nice drape. So I would try and find something, personally I would try and find something with some nice drape in it. Those are all the skirts that I wanted to discuss with you all today. I'd love to know if there are any other patterns that you think should be added to the bundle. And also if you've knit any of these or are planning on knitting them, I would love to know. I'm trying really hard to narrow down what skirt I want to knit next and how, I guess, what is the word? How realistic it would be, I guess, for me to knit another one soon. And the only way I would knit one soon is if I have the yarn in my stash already, and if I get these gift knits that I'm planning, if I get them done in a reasonable time, then I might cast on another skirt soon, but we will see. If not soon, I've got a bunch of time later that I will knit a skirt, maybe for next summer. All right, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you got some inspiration and are maybe wanting to cast on a skirt for yourself. If you've knit yourself a skirt at all, I'd love to know which pattern. And as always, thank you so much. Until next time, happy knitting, happy making, and we will see you then. Bye.